your show.
No rules!
That's what I'm talking about.
Dogs on the Run begins now.
All right, here we go. Another Dogs on the Run. He's Andre Knott. I'm Eddie Baskins. Great to be with you again here on this Monday morning.
Is it snowing outside?
The world did not come to an end, did it?
No, some places where if you try to drive in, it seems like it. But no, the world did not go away. It's still Monday. Browns still will play again next Sunday.
Yes, they will.
I believe.
All right, we are here to talk about yesterday's Browns game. In case it's your first time joining us, welcome. We're glad you're on board. 216-431-3820, 216-431 3820, or what we really like is when you Skype in, Dogs on the Run, DAWGS on the Run. Let's go with first thoughts here, then we're going to go to the Skype line. First thoughts.
Browns got their butts kicked on the offensive line, defensive line. I think it's real simple. They didn't play very well in the line of scrimmage. We knew J.J. Watt was one of the best players in the NFL. He played like it. And the guys that you needed to play like that on the Browns side didn't. I think when you just look at it, who are the guys you expect to be big for the Browns week in and week out? Carlos Dansby didn't play that much. The secondary didn't really come up with many big plays. This is what you get.
K'Wan Williams had a nice play.
K'Wan Williams did play well. He did.
Joe Hayden had a nice play, too. I mean,
Joe Hayden had a nice
as you
play.
kind of want to just look back, and I went back and watched some of the game again this morning, but the lines just got blown away yesterday. I mean, it was not even a contest yesterday with how bad the lines were,
and if
offense and defense.
And if you get your lines butts kicked, you're probably not going to win most games. And I think Houston's better than what we gave them credit for. I think, and when I say we, I say the media, and I think fans. They've got some things that, they came off a bye week with a game plan. You could tell that was a team that comes off a bye with 2 weeks to prepare for the Browns, and the Browns, for whatever reason, don't play well when they come off of breaks.
A couple extra days always cause trouble. All right, let's go right to the Skype lines. We're going to go to George on Skype 1. Hey, George, what do you got for us?
Andre took all my...
You stole your thunder.
All right, George. You took my comfortable little doll there.
Yeah, well, this is snowy, so that's the perfect description on how Browns played. They got snowed upon.
Are you still a fan, or are you giving up on the team?
Oh, no. I'm still a fan. If I decided to turn off and not watch sports, especially the Browns, my wife would have a shock.
What was the most? What bothered you the most about the loss, though?
J.J. Watt, like I said last week, the player that scared me. I think the only time J.J. Watt didn't dominate was when he moved to the left side and Joe Thomas flattened him.
Yeah, Joe Thomas did do a decent job against him. That's a good point. Mitchell Schwartz struggled, though. And not
yes,
a surprise.
Definitely.
Mitchell Schwartz struggled.
I'm just thinking right now, 6-4. We got 4 of the last 6 on the road, so we got a tough road schedule coming up. I'm thinking 4-2 in the last 6, 10-6 might, and I emphasize that big time, might get us to the promised land in the extra game. Who knows?
Who knows? But if they go 10-6, and I'll ask you this, George, because you're right, the road, and I think that's what hurts more than anything else, losing at home, losing that atmosphere. I think that one thing, and we'll never be able to put our fingers on it, how you come out flat at home in a big game, that's just a head scratcher. Because you're right, now they go on the road and things are going to get a little bit more difficult. But if they go 10-6, whether they make the playoffs or not, that is a positive season, is it not?
Very positive. Around here,
right.
Very positive. A lot of individuals born around 1994 don't know what a positive season is.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Heck, let's be honest, born from 78, 77. I mean, if you're 36, 37 years old.
You don't want to know when I was born. But
all right.
It's like a cycle. It's all cyclical, and we just got to take it another game. This week we worry about Matty Ice in Atlanta, and we finally get number 12, Josh Gordon, back. So maybe there is a little small light at the end of this long I-480 bridge.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's more than a small light having him back. And
oh, yeah,
Cameron
no
too,
disagreement.
so
Just don't light it
those
up.
guys.
You think Jordan Cameron's coming back?
I don't know. At some point, don't you? You think he's done for the season?
You think Jordan Cameron's coming?
Well, the thing is, hey, George, thank you. We appreciate your phone call.
George.
It's the third concussion issue.
Before you let me go,
sure, go ahead, George.
One question on Jordan Cameron, and I don't want to sound
You won't. There's no rules. Just be you.
But would you think he would consider, and I emphasize consider, and I know this may not happen, but retiring because of the concussions? Sort of like the Mark Lattimore,
we started
who
talking
had to
about.
let
George,
go.
Yeah, we're good. Thank you, George.
Good
Appreciate
stuff, George.
it. Have a good day, man.
Stay warm.
We'll see you
it's a good
soon.
question. We'll answer it.
A third concussion gets scary.
Third concussion gets scary, and I think when you see how the coach answered the question on Friday, I'd be surprised if he plays soon. He goes, it's touch and go. Like, it wasn't just if I have the actual quote, I'll read it if I didn't get rid of it. But it was, Andy, you've gone to these press conferences a million times. And if you haven't gone to the press conferences, you've listened to them.
Right.
Coach Pettin didn't sound very positive when Jordan Cameron's name came up.
I'm still wondering how much of it is his shoulder, too.
Oh, his shoulder is
no one's
a
talking
problem.
about it. You know?
But I think the concussions is an issue. It's 3 and 2 years. And I'm trying to be politically correct. I like Jordan Cameron as a guy. Mm-hmm. But guys within the locker room always have said he's just a Californian guy that, that just catches the ball on the outside and not a true tight end. And I don't want to call him soft because this is a head injury, so it's not even about, I'm not saying that. But I'm starting to get concerned. Considering Tayshaun Gibson had, and I know it was his first one reportedly, he had a concussion, 10 days ago on a Thursday night?
He got cleared.
He got cleared. Yeah. You go through all the concussions this team has had. For the most part, after a week, they're back in the lineup. This has been 3 weeks now. It's starting to get, I'm worried is what I would say.
Let's see what happens this week.
Yeah, well, think about it.
I think it's the shoulder. I actually think it's more the shoulder than it is maybe the concussion.
I think his shoulder was going to be an issue all season long. And remember, this is a contract year for Jordan Cameron. And I laughed at people, and you know this, and I can go through text, when the guy in Minnesota, tight end in Minnesota, Kyle Rudolph from Notre Dame, I think he signed like a $40 million contract at the beginning of the season. People were going, oh, that's Jordan Cameron will get that type of money. And I go, 80 catches last season, Pro Bowl. This year, 13 catches so far.
Does that Jordan Cameron concussion kind of remind you of like the Muhammad Massaquoi concussion from a couple years ago? Remember he had that concussion?
Yeah, he was never the same.
Yeah.
Yeah, Josh Cribbs told me a crazy story about that day because that was the day that Cribbs got hit. Remember, James Harrison knocked them both out, basically. Right. Colt McCoy's first start in Pittsburgh. And Cribbs said the game was going on. They both are in the locker room taking showers or whatever, because they're knocked out. Doctors kind of standing back to make sure everything's okay. And he said Muhammad Massaquoi literally had no idea what day it was, why he was taking a shower. And Cribbs, who was just knocked out himself, was going, you sure you're all right?
Wasn't that, I think it was in the locker room when Chad Ochocinco, same thing happened.
Oh,
yeah. Remember that?
Yeah, when Brian Russell hit Ochocinco.
I mean, that was crazy.
You want to know what else was crazy that year? That was the year that Brian Russell hit Ochocinco late.
Right.
And Braylon Edwards, a day later, stands up in the locker room and calls Brian Russell a dirty player.
Oh, I remember that.
And that made it for a bad locker room because they literally wanted to fight each other. They probably did.
I've seen that.
Yeah. Well, in hockey, you've seen the concussions in hockey. I'm just using that as an example. They're all different. Like there's a difference between getting dinged. I think we've all been dinged a little bit to you're completely knocked out. And I think the Cameron hit, I don't know if it was illegal, but it was a nasty hit when he got hit against the Raiders.
All right, Tim Couch is standing by. We're going to go to him in a second. And my favorite thing to do on the show is to watch Tim on preview when we go to the Tubby Dog.
Dang, Tubby, you had changed teams on us. You went to a Cavs jersey.
Yeah, well, it's new, so I got to wear it today. But these motherfuckers, man, I just – it's a young team, and we haven't figured out how to win after a win. Like, we get a statement fucking win, and then these assholes are, like, all full of themselves, and they think they're the fucking man, and they come out again against a team they should beat on paper, and they shit the fucking bed. They just shit it. All up in it.
Who do you think thinks they're the man, Tubby?
Good. I love Tim. Tim's my guy. Tim's the reason I got back into the Browns. The entire reason I got back in the Browns. Like, I had the Tim Couch, the Matchbox car. I had Tim Couch, like the stuffed animal, and all that stuff. So I'm gonna have some stuff I'm gonna have to mail to him. I need to get a mailing address.
Tim, I love Tim. Hey Tubby, let me ask you this: I love Tubby. Did you think they were gonna win the rest of their games? They did play like crap yesterday. I'm not gonna sit here and defend them.
Right. Well, here's the thing. All right. Right now, Coach Pettin is the most winningest coach in Browns history. In recent history that I know, since '99, and he's on pace to get a lot more wins. The thing of it is, I don't think that 10-6 is going to get us where we want to go. If you look at the rest of the AFC, you figure New England's coming out of the East, and then Indy's coming out of the South, Denver's coming out of the West, but Kansas City is right there at 7-3, Miami's right there at 6-4.
Yeah.
And just with the strength of schedule alone, we're not going to get 2 wild card slots. So
No, you're
it's
right.
either like, to me, it's win the division or stay the fuck home.
Well, Tubby, let's be real. Let's be real this morning.
Right.
Out of the teams you just mentioned, I think they're as good as Miami. I think Kansas City's a better team than them, and I think Indianapolis is a better team than them, right? And I'm just,
agree.
this is just
Despite
us
last
being,
night,
despite last night. And the Bengals. Here's the deal, and I said this to Andy before we started. The Bengals look like crap last Thursday. They go down to New Orleans and they beat a decent New Orleans team. The Pittsburgh Steelers get boat raced by the Jets 2 weeks ago. And they've got another bad loss, don't they? They've got 2 bad losses this year. And Baltimore, Tennessee, didn't Tennessee beat
Tampa.
Tampa beat Pittsburgh. And Baltimore's got a bad loss and mixed in too. So they all have bad losses, Tubby. It's just, I mean, when you look at make the eye test, I think the Chiefs and Colts are better than us. And if we go 10-6 and don't make the playoffs, I'll be frustrated. But I still think it'll be a good season.
Well, here's the good news, okay? If we can, we're going to need a little bit of help, okay? But we can only lose maybe like 1 more game out of this last stretch going out, and we have a couple tough games coming up. But if we win the division and we end up hosting, we can beat anybody at home. Any one of those wild card teams, we can beat them at home. So that'll be good news for us because we'll be hosting that wild card game at home. And the last thing I want to leave you with that was really fucking cool this weekend is we were standing in the lot drinking beer, and instead of talking draft, we were talking about possibly hosting a playoff game in fucking Cleveland. I mean, that's unfucking believable. So, yeah, so far I'm happy. I'm content. I'm just going to take whatever fucking wins we get from here on out. And
Whose Cavs jersey you wearing there, Tub?
Yeah, who you rocking, Tub?
it's mine. It's 43, and it says Tubby on the back.
Oh, yeah, Tubbs. I
Nice.
love it. We got to get the big
I'm all
man
in,
dance
all for
team
one.
together. We got to get the big man
What'd
dance
you
team
say?
together.
Oh, Tubby's different, though. That's Tubby doesn't. It's different. All right, Tubby, thank you very much. Let's get
You're
to
good,
Tim
Tubby.
Couch.
Take
Thank
care.
you.
All right. Have
See,
a good
Tubby
one.
hit
Love
on
you,
something.
Tim.
Take care. He said, love you, Tim. He hit on something. I think that's the thing that bothers me more than anything else is that they laid an egg at home. Because they have played really well at home, and I think the Browns
And you're
have
in
done-
first place, and the fans are super pumped.
Yeah,
really
and they never got in the game. There was never a moment in that first half where the fans felt like, here we go. It was quiet.
Tim, what's your assessment of the game from yesterday?
Hold on.
Oh man, it was tough. I think football is always going to come down to who's the more physical team, and from the get-go, it was clear yesterday that Houston was more physical than the Browns on both sides of the football, especially on the offense and defensive lines. They couldn't really get anything going. J.J. Watt was disruptive the entire game. No matter what the Browns tried to do against him, run away from him, run to him, he just makes plays, and they really didn't have an answer for him. And I thought for the first time all year long that Brian made some questionable decisions, some questionable throws. I think he was frustrated with the way the offense was performing early in the game with so many 3-and-outs. They couldn't stay on the field, and I think he forced some throws that we haven't seen him do all year long. Some throws into double coverage, a lot of deep throws that he was kind of predetermining a little bit where he was going to go with the football, just trying to create some offense, trying to generate some big plays. And it just wasn't there. But he didn't have a lot of time to throw the football either yesterday, and I know it was frustrating. It was a tough game, but it was tough to watch. I thought they would come out and play a lot more physical than that. I thought they would be better against the run. Obviously, they'd been a lot better the last couple of weeks against the run, but they just got blown off the ball yesterday at the point of attack, and it was pretty ugly from start to finish.
Tim, when you watch a game and you see the tale of 2 quarterbacks, yesterday I saw Ryan Mallett, who probably didn't get touched once yesterday. I mean, his jersey was as clean as it was when he walked in the door. Brian had it. I was just going through like the second quarter and just going 1,000, 2,000. He barely had 1,000 to throw the ball in that second quarter, where Mallett was like, I was at 3, 4 a couple times. What's an appropriate amount of time, do you think, for a play to develop if you're sitting back in the pocket and trying to figure out what's going on?
I think as a quarterback, if you get 3 seconds back there, you feel pretty confident you can make about any throw you want to make. But, I think it all goes back to the running game. Ryan had the luxury of having a great running game yesterday, taking pressure off of him, so he had time to throw the football. Brian couldn't get the Browns couldn't get the running game going, so Brian was under pressure. He took a couple hits from Cushing yesterday that I still don't know how he got up, and I think he was pretty motivated by not letting Manziel get on the field, was because he picked himself up a couple of times where I was like, man, I don't know if he's getting up from that one, because he took shots. As a quarterback, when you got that arm up and those ribs are exposed and you're trying to get it down the field, and Cushing hit him right in the ribs a couple of times, and man, it was tough to watch. I know what that feels like, and he took some shots, but to his credit, he continued to get up and fight, and he played till the end. You know, he tried to bring him back, and you know, unfortunately, the receivers had a couple drops late in the game, and you know, he just didn't have a lot of help yesterday.
Tim, when we look at the rushing, and we talk about this every single week, and I'm not here to defend Brian Hoyer. I just want to do facts. I think they ran a total for 58 yards, I think. But if you take 35 away on one run, they basically had 23 carries, 23 yards. And we've said this, and I don't know how many people have paid attention, without Cameron, without Gordon, there's not a lot of weapons on this team. And I know one of the things Brian said after the game was, hey, I'd rather throw incompletions than get sacked. I'd rather throw incompletions than throw interceptions. I don't care about my completion ratio. And I felt like he got hit enough and didn't have weapons, had no running game. That's what the Browns offense is going to look like no matter who's the quarterback if you don't have a running game, correct?
I think you're 100% right on that. And, you know, no matter who's back there, if you don't have that run game, especially against a good team, a good defense, a group of guys that can get after the quarterback like Houston can, you got to have that run game. You can't be one-dimensional. And once they fell behind and they had to just drop back and throw it, I think would Brian have 50 attempts yesterday, something like that. Yeah. That's the last thing you want to do against that front four of Houston because they pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. So yeah, you got to have that run game. You got to have that support. And you know, it was just a bad performance all the way around on the offense yesterday. Brian didn't have the time to throw. You know, the running game wasn't working, so that means the play-action game wasn't working, getting those big plays that we're used to seeing down the field. Those weren't there. But, you know, it was just a tough day, and, you know, Brian has to have a little more support than that to go out and be successful.
One of the words I hate, but it fits. I hate when we go, oh, they were flat. They were flat yesterday. And for fans, they go, you guys play once, and I'm not going at you, Tim, and I'm just saying, you play once a week, you're at home. How does a team come out flat?
Well, let me just add this because we talked about this last night. You got the last preseason game of the year, and then you should be amped up for Pittsburgh week
Absolutely.
1. I mean, flat as a pancake to start that game. Then you go out and get a great win against Pittsburgh. You got a week off against Jacksonville. And, again, flat, horrible. Yeah. Again today, you had a couple extra days off because of the Thursday night game. That's for me, I think that's even more frustrating because guys had time to relax and still couldn't get up and going for these things for yesterday.
That's the way I see it as well, guys. I think there's times where you can kind of see, well, okay, maybe they will come out flat in this game. You know, if it's the tough stretch of games in a row, back to back to back. But this team was coming off of a you know, kind of an extended, you know, like a mini bye week really. So you would expect them to come out playing at home, sitting atop the division with just a ton of energy and playing the best football that they've played all year. And they didn't do it, and you know, I'm not sure the answer why they did that, but you know, it was one of those games where that was the last thing that you would expect this football team to look like early on, and you know, they couldn't get anything going. You know, it's just you know, offensively, it was just you know, it was 3 and out, and you know, Houston was staying on the field. I think it really hurt our defense, you know, because the offense was just off the field so much and so quickly that you know, and then Houston running that tempo offense, and they just couldn't get going, and then they had the injuries. You know, had some linebackers go down, some defensive linemen go down, and they just got the ball run right down their throat the entire game by Blue.
Hey, Tim, when we come back, we're going to talk to you in about a half hour, 25 minutes here. I want to talk to you about Ben Tate and what happened to Ben Tate over the last week, too, and why wasn't he a part of the game plan. So we'll talk to you about that in about
why do you run
half hour.
pitches at J.J. Watt? Quarterbacks in the NFL should be smart enough not to pitch the ball at 99. That was ridiculous. Sorry, Tim.
That's all right. We're going to talk about that in about a half hour with you, Tim. So thank you very much. We'll cut back with you in a little bit. All right.